Oof, the blame game is beginning to break out between top officials within the Trump administration as they figure out who they can scapegoat regarding the botched, god-awful response to the execution of 37-year-old ICU nurse Alex Preddy. Immediately after the shooting, top Trump officials came out using incendiary rhetoric saying that Alex was trying to massacre people, that he was essentially a bloodthirsty domestic terrorist. Now, Trump admin officials are backing down off of that type of rhetoric and saying they are waiting for the investigation to happen, which is, it's good, but it's too little too late. You guys came out and defamed him. You basically kicked his dead body an hour after he was shot by your goons, and now they're trying to blame each other. At first, Kristi Noem was thrown under the bus. She's getting reassigned from interior enforcement over to the border. Then Greg Bovino got demoted. Trump thought that was going to be enough, but we were looking for more accountability. So Kristi Noem told people behind the scenes that she got that language from Stephen Miller, actually. She's trying to blame it on Stephen Miller. Now, Stephen Miller is the one that leads the most extreme policy within the Trump admin. But at the end of the day, this is Trump's administration. He creates the permission structure. He chose these people. He handpicked these people and gave them the instructions to be as incendiary as possible. So it is Trump's fault. It is Stephen Miller's fault. And yes, Kristi Noem, it is still your fault. You are a grown woman, even if you want to say that the language came directly from Stephen Miller. Kristi Noem's language that Alex Preddy wanted to, quote, massacre federal agents was dictated to Noem and her department by the man most responsible for the controversial operation, Stephen Miller. That's according to 4 sources who spoke to Axios. And now, Kristi Noem is trapped in a corner due to her botched operation. Senator Thom Tillis, a Republican senator, says he's giving President Trump a terminate recommendation for Secretary Kristi Noem's job. Listen to the scathing letter written by a Republican. Remember, a Republican. Quote, she's proven that she doesn't know how to lead, how to de-escalate. She's exposing ICE officers to dangerous situations. She's exposing U.S. citizens to deadly situations. And instead of actually stepping back and being calm, she tells the president, as did Stephen Miller shortly after the shooting, before anybody could have gotten any on-scene information, that he was a terrorist. What sort of judgment is that for somebody who's running a very consequential, important organization? And I haven't even talked about the C and D in failing grades that she's getting on the Helene response. Kristi Noem getting eviscerated by a Republican senator there. Let me point out how abnormal it is for a Republican who voted to confirm Kristi Noem to then come out and say, wait a minute, Kristi Noem needs to be terminated and removed immediately. But even Thom Tillis, even this Republican senator, has trouble with the blame game. He blames Stephen Miller. He blames Kristi Noem. He says they lied to the president, essentially, about this person being a terrorist. No, it is all of their fault, but Donald Trump is the president. Stephen Miller is higher up in the chain than Kristi Noem. I could believe that Kristi Noem was just repeating what Stephen Miller said, but that does not mean that Kristi Noem is out. Then Thom Tillis said Kristi Noem should be fired. When asked if he has confidence in her, Tillis replied, not at all. Moments after, the largest federal employee union called for Noem and Stephen Miller to resign. Wow. The American Federation of Government Employees, the largest federal employee union, which also represented Alex Preddy, issued a statement Monday night calling for the resignations of DHS Secretary Kristi Noem and Deputy White House Chief of Staff Stephen Miller. Stephen is the one leading this extreme policy. Dem effort to impeach Noem gains 50 co-sponsors right after that. Representative Robin Kelly put this on the House about a week ago. She said Tuesday she now has 162 co-sponsors on her effort to impeach Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem. That is 50 more since Alex Preddy was killed. I want to show you like the 2 minutes that Kristi Noem wrecked her career. Look at this clip alone has 3.9 million views. These are the 2 minutes in which Kristi Noem ruins her entire career.
Secretary Noem, thank you so much for doing this, and would welcome also any other guidance from Chief Scott. Did the 37-year-old who had a license to carry, did he brandish a gun? And at what point did law enforcement retrieve the gun and also the magazines from him? Can you offer clarity on
this
where
individual
those were found?
showed up to impede a law enforcement operation and assaulted our officers. They
Wrong.
responded according to their training
Wrong.
And took action to defend the officer's life and those of the public around him. And I don't know of any peaceful protester that shows up with a gun and ammunition rather than a sign. This is a violent riot when you have someone showing up with weapons and are using them to assault law enforcement officers.
Because video appears to show he's disarmed before shots are fired. So I just want clarity on that. And beyond that, I just want to follow up and ask who within the federal government is leading the criminal investigation, understanding that CBP OPR has opened up an internal investigation. And beyond that, why did federal agents tell Minneapolis Police Department to leave the scene?
We're continuing to follow the exact same protocols that we always have. And so this investigation is ongoing. We're continuing to gather the facts as they unfold throughout that.
You just listed a bunch of declarative facts that he was trying to attack people. This is why Kristi Noem fell face first. Face planted. This is why everyone's calling for her resignation, because she jumped to these conclusions. I mean, on this note, a federal judge just an hour ago blocked the removal of a 5-year-old Minnesota boy. This is just a crazy effing headline to even have to read. The judge blocked the removal of a 5-year-old boy who was about to be separated. Just absolutely wild. To continue, Donald Trump then gets asked, hey, some of your own officials have labeled Alex Preddy a domestic terrorist. Donald Trump says, without any prompter, says, that's ABC fake news.
President, some of your own administration officials have labeled Alex Preddy.
By the way, this is ABC fake news, this one. She hasn't asked me a good question in years. I think a nice woman, but I don't really like her too much. Go ahead. What did you say? I'd say ABC's about as bad as they get.
I don't even know how to, I know how that reporter must feel. I've done these conservative debates, like the bar fights, where I'm debating a whole crowd of MAGA, and you'll say something or ask something very common sense, and they'll all boo and hoot and holler like you're the one that's wrong, and it feels like you're being gaslit. So she literally just goes, hey, some of your officials have labeled Alex Preddy a domestic terrorist, and he starts to rile up the crowd, and they're all laughing at her like she's the one that's in the wrong. Dude, Stephen Miller literally tweeted out, a domestic terrorist tried to assassinate federal law enforcement, and this is your response. You can almost hear him saying this. Like, imagine he's saying this in a snooty way on CNN. A domestic terrorist tried to assassinate federal law enforcement. He's always screaming out of his mind. But here's a scoop. Blame game erupts over Trump team's false claim that Alex Preddy sought a massacre. The blame game comes, again, between Kristi Noem and Stephen Miller. Who did what? We're also learning that Stephen Miller is looking increasingly isolated inside the White House. Get this, because others are starting to realize that deliberate, concerted, ethno-nationalist brutality and sadism is hurting Republicans politically. Here's the reality. Here's my read of it. Stephen Miller is much more dangerous than Donald Trump because Stephen Miller is actually ideological. Stephen Miller has ethno-nationalist, sadist view on the world. Trump is only motivated by narcissism and status and money and legacy. He wants a good legacy. He doesn't actually care about which race is dominant. He doesn't actually care at the end of the day if the United States is this religion or that a religion. He's not even religious. He just uses that as a means to an end to gain legacy. Stephen Miller, on the other hand, he has this concerted effort. So Stephen Miller has becoming increasingly isolated as he's pushing for aggressive immigration enforcement, and everyone else is kind of telling him to back off. Donald Trump himself is even backing off. I'm going to leave it there. If you appreciate these videos, drop a like, subscribe. I'll see you on the next one. Peace out.